Nowhere to run, block with my Deep-Cavern Bat. That seems pretty good. So now they move the counter even better. We anoint this. Don't have to pay the ward. Our slasher comes back, and then we get a free block. What a play by the home team. You know what I'm saying? Hello everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be playing Old Reliable, and that is mono black kind of hand disruption, creature disruption, and the one-shot kind of combo in the deck with Unstoppable Slasher and Bloodletter of Aclazotz, and the glue of the deck being a Liliana, Sheoldred, and Unholy Annex to kind of connect everything together, as they all tend to be very good cards in general. But what's the main plan? Or I guess I can just break the deck down real quick. And that is by playing 4 copies of Duress. This card typically now in Best of 1 always has a target, whereas the red decks before were primarily just creature decks. Back in the past, it was just like Mono was the only thing you could really hit. Outside of that, they were playing like Squee, the creatures, and it was just too bad against Mono Red. But now Mono Red is typically prioritizing playing like Monstrous Rages and burn spells like Lightning Strike or Burst Lightning and things like that. You'll always kind of have a target to hit with Duress, and it's obviously good in the mirror, it's good in the reanimate decks, and it's just Duress has found a very good home in the current meta right now, and I like playing 4 of here. You could play 3 if you'd like, but I'm personally on 4. Outside of that, we are stacking up on that type of effect with Deep-Cavern Bat, as we all probably know what that does, and 2 copies of Liliana to just really affect their hand, which I think this goes incredibly well with the combo, which is what I'll get to now. With us constantly disrupting them and taking go for the throats or the Anoint so they can't necessarily exile, a card like Unstoppable Slasher becomes unstoppable, kind of. Because the fact that you have to use 2 removal spells on this already makes it a 2-for-1 and a very good value card for us. Or we can trade and then they have to remove it, which then it counts itself as a 2-for-1 anyway. Because, for example, we remove a creature from play, Unstoppable Slasher then comes back, and then they have to go for the throat. So it takes their creature and a removal spell, for example. But this card being a one-shot potential in mono black, they know we're playing Bloodletter, so they have to answer this. But this says whenever it deals combat damage to a player, it takes half their life total rounded up as well. So immediately it'll hit for 2. If they go down to 18, then they'll end up at 9. So very quickly it just chunks a massive amount of their life total away, and it becomes very troublesome, especially whenever you get to play Bloodletter. This is a very cool card with Unstoppable Slasher. If an opponent would lose life during your turn, they lose twice that much life instead. So it's very cool. And Bloodletter gets a lot of weird value as well. If your opponent is like, oh, I have a ping land, for example, and they have to activate it, they'll actually take 2 from that as well. So if you can kind of force them into those little holes that they have to kind of damage themselves when they're on our turn, it's actually really good as well. So that said, we have a ton of removal in the deck because mono red is always a problem, and if we're going to beat a deck, mono red is one that we want to be able to win pretty often, and that is by playing 3 copies of Cut Down, 2 copies of Anoint with Affliction to make sure those creatures that have die effects just get exiled. We don't have to worry about it. Also very good in the mirror to just answer Unstoppable Slasher straight up. We have 2 go for the throats to answer any bigger creatures. Nowhere to run to make sure things like Shelter by Ghost just do not work against us. And for the bigger creatures that might have some kind of ward, for example, this is a very good card against a Valgavoth, for example, that has that nice ward and it gets reanimated. Like Nowhere to Run is good, but it can't necessarily remove it on its own, and then that means we have to have a Nowhere to Run plus a go for the throat. If we just have an Edict, we can answer it pretty cleanly. That's pretty nice there. Outside of that, we have a couple of other cards. I like to call these kind of our glue cards that I brought up, and that is Sheoldred. Anytime we draw a card, we'll gain 2 life. Anytime an opponent draws a card, they'll lose 2 life. And it just also is kind of acts as a demon in a sense with Unholy Annex, because whenever we draw that card, we'll then gain 2, even though we don't necessarily have a demon to activate its bottom mode. But this makes us draw a card on our end step. We lose 2 life if we do not control a demon. And then our opponent will lose 2 life and we'll gain 2 life if we do. But with the Sheoldred in play, we draw a card, we lose 2, and then we gain 2. So it's kind of neutral, which is really nice. Kind of like a Phyrexian Arena, for example, of what Sheoldred can kind of do with that. Then we have Archfiend of the Dross, kind of just a value demon. Oftentimes we're using this to trade or just block something big or trying to chunk in a ton of damage. Because with a Bloodletter and Aclazotz, or Archfiend, Aclazotz and Archfiend ends up hitting your opponent for 12, which is a lot of damage. So If you are in a situation where you annex, you play an Archfiend post that turn, and they take 2, and then you play a Bloodletter, that is going to deal 12 damage plus an additional 4, so they would take 16 damage in 2 turns, outside of like having to deal with everything else, and that gets very, very difficult. So with that said, we got a lot of games. I think I have like 7 of them, which we run very, very well in. We do a lot of good things in today's games, as I believe I will have them cut and kind of shown in the front. With that said, let's go game. My dog needs to go to the bathroom, so I must take her out now. My opponent goes first. I have removal and a crazy amount of hand disruption. We're just stuck on 2 lands, but with every card in my hand being castable, I feel like it's reasonable. Fire off a Duress. Take a look. The trick plus Kaito here. I mean, we definitely just take Kaito. It's the only card that really keeps him in the game overall. Deep-Cavern Bat. We'll take another look. Action your creature if you want. Oh, you rip a counter spell. Look how good you are. You're nuts. Like, look. Now I get to do it again. Now I can flash this in, and I can tap your creature. I have to do it now, though. Or, well, I guess they have to do it now, though. This one doesn't matter to me as much. Oh, wait. They did what I would argue is, like, the worst one. Okay. Put down. Because their plan was to shuffle this away, I assume? That makes sense. Like, genuinely, that makes sense. Here's my Unstoppable Slasher. Did you rip another counterspell? No? Yes? Maybe? No? Okay. I have a Slasher. I will block. Get to take mana away from them. I will do it. It has Death Touch. Just comes back, and like if they kill it, then that's another removal spell gone, right? Yeah, that's fine. The card I don't have to worry about. Now I get to play this. Okay. Does 2. And a little bit of life. I guess by 2 it does double. Here. Deep-Cavern Bat alone will deal 4 here if this actually gets through. Sure. Tapping Bloodletter. Yeah, that makes sense. No attack, of course. Pass. Make them double attack if they want to Kaito me here. No. Move. Countering that. Okay. Combat. Then. Sure. Okay. All right. The old-fashioned 3 drops into missing our land drop. I know how this game works. I'm gonna keep. Being on a Duress. Oh my lord, we are in the mirror. Nowhere to run is good. The rest is worse for us. And they're also on a 2-lander. Is it just the mono black deck? Like, is that how this works? We just like sit in the mirrors and do nothing. The Deep-Cavern Bat comes down. We're gonna know where to run it, and we're gonna establish our Unholy Annex. Because it's clear that they also have removal, but Unholy Annex being online first is actually really important, because that gives us a whole nother card draw. Could go for this, but then they remove it, and then like we give the turn value, but then if they play on Unholy Annex first, then we are like behind on value. It's just like this whole weird thing. Yes, this one. Now we can force them to use their nowhere to run, and we'll get an extra draw here. Then hopefully we find a land. Like, that's primary goal number 1. All right, we miss. It's okay. Not like really, like we're a little sad about it, considering like we're kind of dying, but you know, you get it. Yeah, you guys get it. Now I could go for Bloodletter here. I could play my own Bloodletter, but I could also Deep-Cavern Bat and like know where to run this temporarily, and I think that's also fine. I'll take the second Bloodletter, and I'll kind of like work at getting this down, I guess. They can hit me for like 2 and hope it's like decently good, but I'm gonna like know where to run block with my Deep-Cavern Bat. That seems pretty good. I'm big fan of that. I'm a big fan of that. Very cool. We'll move on. All right, we go first. Pretty sweet. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4 M's in my bank account. Oh man, that song really does count. Like, it counts to 9, doesn't it? It's like so long to count. It's like it's so not necessary. We could hold, but I feel like just getting the value out of our removal is good, especially early here. Oh, okay. Okay. Player 2 drop. I'd like to know where to run it. Oh, nothing? Well, we'll play a slasher then, because we don't care about Shelter by Ghost as long as we're able to actually know where to run it. There is like a small chance that they play a creature than Shelter by Ghost and it has too much toughness. There's a Screaming Nemesis. That's fine. Another kind of spell would have been sick here, but I am going to remove the Screaming Nemesis. I could play Sheoldred, but opening it up, when you see this, typically that means that they're like actually a burn deck. So we want to make sure that we kind of close the game pretty quickly. And then this will hit for 7, take half, take 4, go to 3, play Sheoldred. It'll be close. Hey, Shelter by Ghost. What are we taking here? Slasher? If I find removal, it's just fine. Duress is a card, I guess. Burst Lightning, Boros Charm. Boros Charm provides indestructible. Burst Lightnings can't technically target, like, Burst Lightnings can't technically target this. I mean, it can, but, like, it doesn't seem good, right? But I was right. I called it. They are the burn deck when they're playing this card. I will block, I think. Okay. We have a Lightning Strike, too. Lightning Helix. What a sick draw. Okay. Take 3. You know, I have a lot of good draws, that being one of them. Because nothing matters technically with that. We want to kind of cheese here, which is exactly what we're going to get. So we wait for this to come up. This gets declared as an attacker, right? I don't really care where they put the counter. I'm blocking it regardless. So now they move the counter even better. We anoint this. Don't have to pay the ward. Our slasher comes back. And then we get a free block. What a play by the home team. You know what I'm saying? Now we hit them. They're going back down to 5. We just hold this land. Kind of sit on it, I guess. Although, I guess we should play it because of Unholy Annex. Because we can make a demon and play the other side if we hit the right mana. Cut down is huge. Combat. Attack. Here. Down to 1. Remove this. Take 1. Then I guess go empty-handed. I'll let them know. They could know now. You find a creature to block the slasher while also burning. Oh, they find 2. Okay. Ouch. I just hit my hand. What? This is 5, 6, 7. Okay, so we have to play the massive demon side. We attack. Obviously, they have to block. Quite obvious. It's quite obvious, I guess. We'll play the 6/6 side. Make sure our life total's safe. And depending what they can... Honestly, I don't even think anything's lethal. No, Monstrous Rage is lethal, right? Because this will get double strike. It'll go to 4, hit me for 8. No, it's not lethal. Wow. I'll like obviously I'll double check the math on that, but I do not think it's lethal. Shelter by Ghost. Okay. Sure. Oh boy, and the go for the throat doesn't like do anything, which is annoying, but makes sense. Attack. Down the 1 you go once again. And because they could play protection spells, we have to remove this now. And is it worth Unholy annexing? Boros Charm, though. Yeah, I mean, they can find lethal if I unlock that and I do something dumb. The only way they find lethal. Out of this turn, obviously. But for Heart Challenger, sure. Another creature that's just forced to block. Could attack. They could attack, target it with this. Monsterish Rage it? Because that'll go to 3. Oh my god, bro. What in the world is happening? Oh, plus up. They didn't hit it. If they would Monsterish Rage it, it would get +3 here, plus Prowess. I guess it wouldn't be enough anyway, thankfully. Right? So a Monsterish Rage here would be... Monsterish Rage is +3 and then Prowess gives it total of 4. So it'd be 7. So thankfully, I don't think on 1 mana there is a card that they could have drawn that would win them the game here. I guess what they could draw is like Ethereal Armor and put it on the Challenger. Therefore, it can block this while staying alive. Is the only thing I can think of, because Ethereal Armor provides first strike. So they could put it on here and then just use it kind of as a protection thing, because this obviously can't hit them anymore. And they just lose the removal, but like they're kind of out of options. But cool. That's 2 cool trades in a row that we got to do. That's very sick. Opponents first. Okay. We got some hand disruption, some removal. Everything's castable on our 2 mana outside of Bloodletter, so we'll keep. We'll either find things that aren't castable or we will find things that aren't castable. We'll have to figure it out from there. On a white nonsense, I take it. Yeah. Yeah. 2 mana here. Seems quite wild, but sure. I guess I can just take the split up for now. Seems fine. This is a sick card to be playing, though. Pretty down with that. We'll play this. It'll enter tapped. It'll gain 1 life, which is fine overall. Not really what we want. Split up ×2. Okay. Will they... I can't imagine that they just cast this next turn, right? I think I want to take the flanker. So even if they draw land, I can't see them just like hitting that. Oh, it's tapped anyway. All right, cool. Hey, that's actually kind of a cool card to be playing whenever it comes down to like having to deal with some stuff. Now, I wanted to rest them to answer this split up, which feels bad, but they have an answer to our Annex. But I guess then they play that. Well, I can't take this back now. I've already technically looked at their hands. Just don't draw a second copy and then I can't take it from you. You know what I mean? Oh, man. They're just going to hit lands for the rest of the game, huh? Oh! Nice card to play, dude. That's actually sick. I thought it was going to be mono white, like boring nonsense. You know what I mean? But no, they're playing the Skrell Pipe. Skrell Pipe's dope. They gain 1, but they take 2. Now a 3rd split up drawn, I will cry. And that's not a joke. Alright. If there's a card I'm not a huge fan of, it's the Carrot Cake. I don't really like Carrot Cake that much. They probably draw land here. Or like a Caretaker's Talent. So I guess I move to combat and I hit for 6. Then I can go for the bat, or I play Unholy Annex, and I just deal more damage, kind of walking them into playing this Lauren. The Sheoldred's Edict, which isn't necessarily great. Also, this Hive is dealing a ton of damage to them. It was a land. So they're going to be short. They're going to lose here. Their 3 life gain is not going to be enough, right? Oh, they play that. They don't even gain to 3. I don't have a way to get that extra point of damage across, though. But it doesn't matter, I don't think. Because I can then Deep-Cavern Bat this away. Oh, no, they died to their own card. No, they don't, because they can sack this. Everything's happening. Deep-Cavern Bat. So we're going to give them life anyway. I'm not going to rely on... I'm not going to rely on them making a mistake. At the beginning of your upkeep. So they can respond to that trigger, by the way. They can respond to this. Now, would Arena have let them? I'm not sure, because it seemed to happen instantaneously. But we'll see. They did the yelling face. It's so funny. You go to 4. They just need to answer a Bloodletter here. All they actually have to technically answer to get out of this. It's a land. Unlucky. I think they know they're dead, so... overall, does feel a little bad. Feels like there was definitely a little behind the scenes there that could have happened. Yeah, we'll double draw. Well, maybe they can still find one, right? I just don't think you leave a land on top ever, right? Yeah. So, fortunately, we get there. I honestly thought it was just going to be like stock white, which is always kind of like unfun to play against in general. I imagine my deck's also not the most fun to play against because like Duresses, Deep-Cavern Bats, etc. Which I'm not like denying that, but I think Caretaker's Talent board wipe deck is just not super great to play against. Like, it's fun to play when you're the pilot of the deck because you're drawing a ton of cards, wiping the board and everything. But we get there nevertheless, and we'll move on. All right, we go first. Removal, Annex, Slasher. Yeah, I mean, I'm all in on this. They also mulligan, which is super sick. Obviously, it's like... Yo. Let's go. What? Black? Cookies? No, that card's blue. What is green-black playing Leyline Axe? It's not Leyline in the Void, you know what I'm saying? This one, I guess? Weird. I don't know. That's sick, though. I'm for this. Anywhere else? Sure. What? Yo, my opponent's sick. They're gross. I kind of love them. What? Yo, no way. Finn? Finn's such a cool card. I like Finn a lot. Ah! Stop! Stop playing these cards. You think Duress hits anything? Probably not, right? We can look. Yeah, yeah. This is good. Do I play my own Slasher or do I just go for the throat of creature? And I guess go for the throating a creature makes sense. Alright, there's a land. This is just good. Alright. Well, half my life total and 2 poison is definitely a struggle for sure. But we definitely get rid of that, I think. And then, man, Death Touch on everything is insane. I think I'm going to lose this game. That's a pretty good find, but it just doesn't do anything, right? A creature I'm willing to just trade off pretty much for free. Also a creature I'm pretty much willing to trade off for free, I guess. But this gains me life back. Like right now, I'm losing too much life. I kind of need to get it back under the wraps, you know what I mean? They find removal for this is pretty brutal. This gives double strike and trample. Okay. I think so. We can absorb this entire thing here. It has death touch. Oh my man. There's 6 poison. I'm going to vomit. I guess I can go for the throat Liliana minus, and we kind of recover this game. Actually, I guess I plus Lily first, right? Take this like Bliss out of their hand, and then we minus. There's a little more life here, and now we can minus play Sheoldred. Thankfully, they find a land. They're obviously going to equip this because, like, why? They have nothing else to do with their turn. We play land. We play Sheoldred. We minus the Lily. Now I feel pretty confident we're going to win, but oh my... Is that not the coolest player I've ever played against? That's so sick. Leyline Axe I thought was going to be Azorius. I don't necessarily think this deck wants to play Leyline Axe. Just from like what I know, that like from playing Leyline Axe in another deck, I know how weird and fidgety it can be. Like, how bad would it have been if they drew a Leyline Axe there? Even though they drew a land, like drawing the axe on those awkward turns doesn't feel as good. I understand it double hits, but I feel like just playing maybe protection spells like Snakeskin Veil or something like that might even bode a little bit better overall. Maybe I'm wrong because I assume Rot Priest is in the deck. I don't know why it wouldn't be, but I feel like playing Snakeskin Veil would be better. It's just like it did the double strike thing and it didn't end up mattering. And if Leyline Axe is attacking and it doesn't really make a difference, I guess my 6/6 couldn't block it. So I mean that's also cool, but I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but it's a little bit weird for sure. Yeah, I put in the wrong basic. Okay, or wrong non-basic. That is supposed to be the demon land. It hadn't mattered until just now. Trample, whenever it deals damage, it does an artifact. Oh, we'll take Monstrous Rage, because that seems better. Sheoldred's Edict's pretty good here. But, yeah. Alright. Land Ass, I guess? Huh? Move this, I guess. Take one. I just don't feel like it's necessary to wait, but looks like we're in trouble this game. Don't quite have enough removal, I think. And it's the fling deck, which is always kind of hard to beat. Didn't have the fling card in hand, which is good, but land plus this and a Monstrous Rage and a fling is just enough to win the game, which sucks, but that's what it is. Bloodletter would be best draw. Deep-Cavern Bat's a good draw. We'll play the Foundry now. The reason Deep-Cavern Bat's a good draw is because we get to kind of look at these cards in hand. See if they have that fling card in there. Go for Might of the Meek. You want to draw before I take a card from you. Okay. Fine. Attack here. They do block. Okay. Honestly, tippable. A red player that kind of respects Unstoppable Slasher is like, give you a clap, dude. Just the amount of people that are like, you know what? I'll take a hit from a Slasher. That's fine. Only if they knew. Like, only if they knew that that Deep-Cavern Bat was the draw. That's wild. We go first. Hand's like a little slow, but we are on the play, so it's fine. And we might not invest a cut down now, but we can always do it on turn 2, maybe. Oh, now we have to do it on turn 2, and we get to fire off a Duress. Very cool. Give me a look-see. Okay. Okay. Sucks. Sucks. Not like that it's bad. It's just, it sucks for us that we have to deal with this. I guess it's just Monstrous Rage. It technically does the most damage there. And Burst Lightning could go face right there, which is like, okay. It's not the best thing I've ever experienced, but it's a thing I've experienced. Go for the Throat is fantastic of a draw. Don't necessarily have, like, if they play a Nemesis next turn, that's fine. We'll just take the 3 and then we'll, like, just Slasher hit them and then go for the Throat. But if they go for the Nemesis and they attack me with it and I draw a land, they lose the game. They go for Swift Spear. Okay. Lightning Strike. Totally makes sense. Just kind of one of those awkward things in the game where it's just like, it's a little weird, but it's fine. We find nowhere to run. So we are definitely, I mean, we have to hold. Like, there's no reason to fire off like to go for the Throat or nowhere to run right now. And they find the Screaming Nemesis, so they can shut me off from gaining life ever. If that's what they want to do. I will go for the Throat it, and they can deal 2 to it, I guess, if that's what they want to do. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Like, I don't necessarily gain a ton of life anyway. just like does less damage overall here. Like I take 4. Sure, I don't gain life ever again, but at the same time, like, does that really matter with what we're kind of looking at? Cut down to huge pickup. We'll remove that. And then we have our nowhere to run in order to answer this next creature they eventually play. Now, they do have burn spells, so I don't blame them for being, like, very, like, hey, we're going to get this out of the way. But I will go for the nowhere to run now. Their Unstoppable Slasher can remove... Oh, dude, no way this is how this game's going to go. Our Wishstalker Frenzy can remove my Unstoppable Slasher, which will make sense. Am I just going to hold 4 mana spells in my hand and never find the 4th mana? If so, that will be frustrating. Obviously. Okay, well, we found it. Now, Sheoldred does not gain life, but I do think it's a pretty decent blocker here. Like, it's a much better blocker than Bloodletter, I think. Although Bloodletter is... I don't gain any life. Like, Sheoldred actually doesn't do anything. Oh, man. They slash me to, like, not even take advantage of... Or they nemesis me and not to even take advantage of... Now, don't get me wrong. This could just be a dead card in hand, and maybe they're conceding because of that. But, like, this is just 2 damage to you anytime you draw a card. Like, this doesn't make it where I'm still going to lose life. Like, it doesn't matter. But down to 1 card. I hit 4th mana. I play Sheoldred. I play Bloodletter. Like, now it does get a lot worse, but cool. We win the game. And on to the outro, I guess. All right, so here we are. This is the deck list. As you can tell, I already cut the land. I got the Foundries out. I didn't mean to be playing them anyway. I meant to be playing the Soulstone Sanctuary because this is technically a demon as well, and that goes really well with our Unholy Annex. It just provides a lot of value. I've won games with this alone because the 3/3 is better than the 2/2 that Mishra's Foundry also provides. And Mishra's Foundry is not every creature type, but this is, so that's just very cool. Other than that, the decks felt good. I went 7-1 today. My loss was a 2-lander and drawing like 3 or 4 4-mana spells and just not being able to keep up. After I think we removed like 3 creatures and we ended up dying. Just like kind of one of those things where I was on the draw. I played land. I removed a creature. I played another land. I removed a creature. Removed another creature. And then I just didn't hit a land. And eventually like a slick shot one-shot me as they plotted it. And you know, they did a thing. But that is what it is. And it's fine. So... I ended up going 7-1 with this, and it's been treating me pretty nicely. It's a deck I kind of fall back onto whenever I've been trying out other decks, because I do that quite often. For example, it is now 2:30 in the morning. I have started recording at 10 o'clock. Or not 10 o'clock. I started recording at like 11 to try to find some interesting decks. I tried a couple of things, and I just like, I couldn't get anything together. I was running like 0-4, 0-5, and I was just like, okay, time to go back to old reliable, I guess. Like I need to go play a deck to get my confidence up a little. And I do play a lot of decks that are like, I try to figure out decks often, and sometimes it just leads to worse. And this is kind of my fallback deck. I typically do well with it. It's a hard deck to beat. It's one of the better decks in the meta overall, just of how good it is because of value cards like Unholy Annex. Bloodletter being hard to beat, especially when Unstoppable Slasher is a reoccurring threat and a card you have to answer. But if you tap out for the turn that I get to play the Bloodletter, it one-shots and wins. You won't one-shot and win often, but it's that threat that is the main thing. It's like when somebody tells you a creature's bad because it always gets removed. It's kind of the backwards mindset. The creature always gets removed because it's that good, right? Like a great example in Modern is like, whenever I play a Ragavan, and Ragavan's less played now, but at the time, whenever I played a Ragavan and it got bolted every single time I played it, or Prismatic Ending, I'm not going to say the card's bad, because it's really, really good. They have to remove it every time, because it'll win the game by itself. And that's the feeling that like Unstoppable Slasher gets whenever Bloodletter is in your deck and you are a mono black deck, because if you don't remove this, it's just going to attack. You have to block it, or you have to remove it over and over again if you don't get to like remove it twice. And then you're getting 2 for 1. And I haven't even shown you the Bloodletter yet, right? Like I haven't even shown you the piece that wins the game. You just have to remove the slashers. And in our deck of Duress, Deep-Cavern Bats, Liliana, that makes you discard quite often, and you being unable to apply any pressure because, quite frankly, we just hunt mono red with this deck a lot of times. with 3 cut downs, 2 Anoints, 2 go for the throws, 2 nowhere to run, 2 Sheoldred's Edicts to kind of answer anything that we need overall. It's just tough for them to ever find like a footing, and then a slasher comes in and they have to lightning strike it, as you've seen probably in the video today. Like, it's just, it feels so bad to try to like answer this card whenever you don't get enough pressure because of all the removal, and then I'm constantly disrupting you as well. So it's what I feel like the mono black deck's supposed to be like. The only card I would consider playing, as you can see, I went and found the land. As you can see, I have my lands highlighted in colorless. There's only one card that I can think of right now that you might want to consider playing, and that is Leyline of the Void. Is that the only art I guess I own 3 of these, but I played 4 and I didn't want to craft the extra rare. Okay, sure, I guess. But if Leyline of the Void's in your opening hand, you may begin with the game with it on the battlefield. If a card would be put into the opponent's graveyard, it gets exiled. 1, helps you with the mirror, I guess, but that's not the main reason. The main reason to play this card is like Heartfire Hero, when it dies, it gets exiled, so it doesn't deal damage. Other effects like Heartfire Hero that do that kind of like when I die, do X thing. Leyline of the Void kind of dodges that. But the main thing is like Audigen's a deck. All the Reanimator decks that are a thing, like the Zombify decks, are so good. And then the Omniscience deck that kind of goes to their graveyard or whatever. Like, this can also answer that. So they're not able to just put an Omniscience in their graveyard and beat you on turn 4 if you don't disrupt them. Now, do we have a good hand disruption plan? Yes. But the main issue is like Leyline of the Void is also just like an instant win button against them unless they bounce it somehow, but then you stall them long enough that like a slasher is really like good against them. This is a little bit weird. This is the only card I would consider like outside of what's in here to be playing, and honestly, like, if it gets bad enough, I would probably look to maybe trim maybe Liliana's, even though I like them a lot. You could argue maybe it's a Deep-Cavern Bat because technically this is bounceable, killable, whatever. Liliana's not. But Liliana allows them to discard the way they want, but with Leyline of the Void, you kind of get around that. But you also can maybe drop down like a removal spell and an Archfiend. Archfiend being a 1-of in the deck is probably not the worst thing in the world. Maybe a Sheoldred even. But with that said, Leyline of the Void could be possibly really good in this deck as well. And maybe only play 3 because outside of that, you never want to see it. So it's a little bit rough. But other than that, I hope you all enjoyed the video. I had a good time playing it. This is one of my favorite decks to be playing overall. And I hope if you're trying Mono Black, it works out well for you. But with that said, I'll catch you all in the next one. Thanks for watching and goodbye.